Hello, I am Tarık Toros. Welcome to What's Happening in Turkey. Turkey is in the midst of deep political turmoil, fueled by the shockwaves of a severe economic crisis. Inflation is spiraling out of control. The cost of living is skyrocketing, and hope for solutions is fading fast. The government's response? Instead of fixing the economy, it has launched a systematic campaign to weaken and divide opposition parties. Public debate is no longer focused on economic recovery. It is now dominated by political trials, carried out by a judiciary fully aligned with those in power. Meanwhile, the regime's so-called solutions only make life harder. Taxes keep rising. Most recently, the operating rights of 2 Bosphorus bridges and several major highways were put up for sale. And Turkey still has the world's only exit tax on leaving the country. Since January, it has risen by 40%, now reaching 1,000 lira, about 30 euros. Police raid on CHP Istanbul HQ. For 23 years, President Erdoğan and his ruling AKP have crushed dissent with heavy-handed police tactics. Even minor criticism on social media can land people in prison. Now, the main opposition party, CHP, widely seen in polls as the only real alternative to power, is under direct assault through the courts. In a rapid move, regime-controlled judges appointed a state trustee to run CHP's Istanbul headquarters. Istanbul is Turkey's largest city, home to 15 million people and the economic heart of the country. CHP tried to resist, but at dawn, thousands of police stormed the party headquarters and escorted the trustee inside. Reports suggest the government may attempt the same maneuver at CHP's national headquarters in Ankara, removing party leader Özgür Özel and replacing him with a court-appointed trustee. CHP headquarters on high alert in Ankara. On 15th of September, a critical court case could pave the way for a state takeover of CHP. The court investigating alleged irregularities at the party's last Congress could issue an interim ruling that reshapes Turkish politics entirely. If that happens, far bigger clashes are expected at the party's Ankara headquarters than those already seen in Istanbul. To prepare, CHP's leadership has launched a round-the-clock vigil inside the building. They have purchased 3,000 gas masks and stocked up on supplies, from sleeping bags and pasta to biscuits, and even lemons, a traditional countermeasure against police tear gas. İmamoğlu on trial in Silivri prison. On Friday, a major hearing took place in Europe's largest prison complex, Silivri, home to around 30,000 inmates. Ekrem İmamoğlu, Istanbul's mayor, CHP's leading presidential candidate, and widely seen as Erdoğan's strongest rival, appeared before the court there. He has been in detention for 180 days, facing what is now known as the diploma case. In Turkey, a university degree is required to run for president. Earlier this year, under pressure from the regime, Istanbul University cancelled İmamoğlu's diploma. That wasn't the end. Prosecutors accused him of irregularities when transferring from Girne American University in northern Cyprus to Istanbul University. Friday's hearing was part of this high-stakes trial. This indictment was ordered by Erdoğan. İmamoğlu's defense was repeatedly interrupted by applause. He said the indictment was baseless and declared he did not recognize the trial. He explained that, like other students of his time, he had transferred properly between universities, but only he was being prosecuted. The case has turned surreal. No one else from that period has faced investigation for similar transfers. Yet prosecutors, without presenting solid evidence, are demanding up to 9 years in prison. In the most striking part of his defense, İmamoğlu directly pointed to President Erdoğan's role. He told the court, this indictment was not written by the prosecutor. It was dictated by the man who knows I will defeat him in the next election. His words caused a powerful reaction in the courtroom. The president's own diploma in question. For more than a decade, controversy has centered not on İmamoğlu, but on Erdoğan himself. Critics claim he never actually attended university. No classmates have ever come forward, and no photos exist from his post-student years. More seriously, there are strong suspicions that the diploma he submitted to Turkey's Supreme Election Council may be fake. Yet the university he claims to have graduated from has never given a convincing explanation to clear up the doubts. Now Erdoğan appears to be turning the same accusations back on his biggest rival, weaponizing the diploma issue as political revenge. Trustee appointed to major media group. One of the week's biggest developments was the state takeover of a major media holding, home to some of Turkey's leading news and entertainment outlets. A total of 121 companies were seized, including Habertürk News Channel and Show TV. The group, once seen as close to the government, had been under investigation for alleged money laundering. The trustee appointment has caused a major stir, especially since the holding also owned top educational institutions such as Doğa College and Bilgi University. The big question now is, if these investigations had been ongoing for years, how was the group allowed to keep expanding so freely in media and education? For 23 years, Turkey's rulers have consolidated business and media around their own interests. Whenever a group grows too large or falls out of favor, the state steps in with the trustee system. Businesses and media outlets are forced into submission, seized, and later sold to figures close to power. This cycle has been repeated for nearly a quarter of a century. Each time, seized outlets and companies are absorbed into the government's control machine. Arrests over social media posts. While the regime has tightened its grip on traditional media, it struggles to control social networks. Instead, it relies on bans and arrests. This week alone, 3 people were jailed simply for posts they shared on X, formerly known as Twitter. Devlet Bahçeli, leader of the ruling coalition partner Nationalist Movement Party, even called for Twitter to be shut down completely. Meanwhile, a Turkish court blocked access to Grok, the AI-powered official X account. So far, the platform has not enforced the ban. Sikh prisoner dies behind bars. The most shocking event of the week was the death of 72-year-old İbrahim Güngör, who passed away in prison after being denied release despite worsening health. Güngör had worked as head of student affairs at İzmir's Gediz University, which the state shut down after the 2016 coup attempt. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison for collecting scholarships for students and organizing religious talks. He suffered from Alzheimer's, diabetes, and prostate disease. By the end, he no longer recognized his own family during prison visits. His daughter, Sueda Güngör, who campaigned for his release on social media, was herself jailed. When her father died on 7th of September, she was not permitted to attend the funeral, granted only a 1-hour family visit, still in handcuffs. Turkey slips into chaos. Turkey now ranks 117th out of 142 countries on the World Justice Project's Rule of Law Index and continues to fall year after year. On the Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Borders, it stands 158 out of 180, with Erdogan's strongest political rival jailed. An opposition party is under trusteeship. The country has now slid into full authoritarian rule, and the outlook grows darker by the day. I am Tarık Toros. You've been watching What's Happening in Turkey. See you next week.